time for music theory. Today I'm going to talk about analysis and getting started with analyzing music, which is an important component of music theory. I like to think that learning about music theory and applying music theory is done in two important ways. The first one is composition, which is you writing your own music, because all the little techniques that we see in music theory, those can all be applied directly to composition. And I think that that's a very, very efficient way to learn about how these pieces of theory work. The other side is analysis and application through performance. That is, when you analyze a piece of music, you understand better how to perform it if you know where cadences are and things like that. And that's going to improve your performance of a piece of music that's already written. I think that that's not the most efficient way to learn theory, but it's important if you're a performer that you know enough theory that you can analyze a piece of music that you want to play and be able to see what the composer's doing in it so that you can make a better interpretation of that piece of music. Analysis is a key component to that side of it. And if you're taking something like collegiate music theory, or you're taking AP music theory, let's say, and you're a high school student, then being able to basically analyze music, that's going to be a really, really important thing for your success in your classes. So I wanted to introduce that today, and the resource that I recommend you start with if you're doing this completely on your own and independently is called the Open Hymnal, not Bach chorales. Bach chorales are a little bit more complex for beginning music theory students, but there's lots of appropriate chorales to analyze in the Open Hymnal. I will link it down below. I'll also probably link the Bach chorales down below the video. Bach chorales are more advanced and do a lot more things that I haven't talked about yet in the series. If you're new to music theory, I like the Open Hymnal because we have things that are in one key, use pretty standard chords. They're made for people to sing who are real people, not like advanced, professional musicians. So in that sense, they're sometimes a little bit scaled down in terms of their difficulty for performance as well. And so I like them for a lot of those reasons. I like chorales a lot because, as you can see, we have these big vertical quarter notes where we can look at the chords and really analyze the chords well. And in this case, for this example, we have nothing but quarter notes. In other ones, you'll have eighth notes mixed in, but not that many eighth notes. And that allows you, with those eighth notes, to identify what are called non-harmonic tones. I haven't talked about this yet, but they're an important part of understanding how harmony works. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a harmonic analysis. We're going to do a Roman numeral analysis of this. And this is something that you can repeat on the example down below, or finish if you want. This is the very first one, Blessed Jesus at Thy Word. That's the name of this hymn. And at the end of that, you'll have an idea of what chords go where. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to decide what key we're in. And we're going to put down right below the staff what key we're in. This is the standard way that you do what's called Roman numeral analysis or harmonic analysis. Easy way to figure out what key you're in is really to look at the key signature and add one other clue to it. So you have a key signature of 1 sharp. That's usually going to indicate G major. You can find any key by go to the last sharp, go up a note, the note above it, that's the key. Last sharp, only 1 sharp, F, go above it, up, G major. Okay. With flats, you go to the second to last flat, and that's the name of the key. So we have G major, and we have to add one clue, which is, are there any accidentals? And if I kind of step out of the frame, we're only going to analyze this first phrase in this video, and you can do the rest on your own. There's no accidentals. And the reason that we're looking for accidentals is that way you know you're not in a minor key, because minor keys will tonicize a note with an accidental. You'll see an accidental for that major 5 chord. Remember, harmonic minor is, or I should say minor chords or minor keys that have 5 chords, major 5 chords. They're much more common than minor keys that don't. Almost all uses of the minor key is going to contain a dominant chord that is a major chord rather than a minor chord, meaning you're not going to see natural minor a lot. It's going to be pretty obvious. So I don't see any accidentals. That means to me we're in G major. So I'm just going to write down over here a big capital G. Now you can write G, M-A, G major, or capital G. All of those work, and that lets you know what you're going to do. Next thing you want to do is you want to look at the notes that are in the chord. And what I like to do is I like to take those notes of the chord and bring them all the way down so that they're in what's called root position, meaning they're all lined up every other note, like space, space, space. So I go up here, I grab a D. I'm like, okay, I'll put a D right there. Okay. Go up here, I grab a B, put a B right here. There's no other notes. They're lined up nice and stacked up, and we see we have a G, a B, and a D. G, B, D. Looks like it's in root position G in the key of G. So it's a G major, and I always like to write the popular chord symbol as well. I think that just reinforces a lot of things. right? G, M, A for major. And in the key of G, that is a 1 chord. We draw that with a Roman numeral 1, okay? Next thing that we do is we want to do the same thing. Just repeat what we did. We have G, we have B, D. Let's put a D up here, right there. And then we have G again. So we don't need to repeat the G. We already have G. So we just have G. Okay, it's the same chord. So we just put a 1 chord down there again. We have 2 1 chords in a row. Next we have F sharp. We have A. We're going to go up and grab a D. Now, you might be tempted to do this, which is to put the D right there. But we have a gap. We have a gap of a fourth. You know, that's a fourth. We want to get rid of any fourths that we see, and we want to see if we can stack it in thirds. Because almost all chords are stacks of thirds, not fourths. And only in pretty rare circumstances for advanced theorists are you going to get a lot of fourths if you're doing something like a German 6th chord or something, or really a French 6th chord, something like that, which you don't need to, fret about right now. So instead of doing that, what we're going to do is we're going to put the D down below the F sharp so that they line up here. D, F sharp, A. We go up A, we already have A, so now we have a D, an F sharp, and an A, and that's going to be a D major chord, okay? And in the key of G, that is what's called a 5, and we can figure out the 5. We just go up G, A, B, C, D, 5 chord. We do it as a major 5. Now, I haven't explained this in a separate video, so I'll just tell you now. Whenever you're doing this process and you see these notes appear below what's called the bass note. The bass note is right here. That's the lowest note. Whenever you have the bass note is not the root of the chord. The root is the lowest note when you have it in what's called root position. If you're stacking it up in thirds, that lowest note is the root. You could look at it that way, or it's the note that the chord's based off of. Whenever you don't have the root in the bass, you have what's called an inversion, and I'm just going to write that word right here. Inversion. An inversion is where you don't have the root in the bass, and there's many different kinds of inversions. This one's called first inversion. We notate that with a 6 right there, and I will have a separate video that goes over inversions specifically, but I just want to get you through the analysis part. If you're not into inversions yet, or you don't know enough yet, at least know that it's a 5 chord. Let's keep going. We have a D, an F sharp, and an A. We have F sharp here, so we'll just bring the F sharp down here, and D here. So here we have this. Now, whenever I see a fifth, a perfect fifth in the bass, that's a perfect fifth. That almost certainly means that you're in root position, meaning that's the root of the chord. Okay, that's going to be another D major. In this case, it's a 5, and we have D in the bass, no inversion, so we don't have to have that number 6 there to let anyone know that we have an inversion. In the future, I'll tell you exactly what the numbers mean and what they're from. It has to do with Baroque interpretation styles. You don't need to know that right now. Next chord, G, D, B. So let's do a B here, and we have a D. We'll do a D there. G, B, D. We'll recognize that one. It's G major, otherwise known as a G chord. Back to a 1. Now, if you remember our cadence one, 5 to 1, that is an authentic cadence, and that's actually a perfect authentic cadence. So I'll write hack. Perfect authentic cadence, 5 to 1, right? But it kind of keeps going. We have 5, 1, then we have this chord. We're going to look at it. Okay, let's see. We have E, so G, G, E. Okay, E, G, B. Again, perfect fifth. You're almost certain it's in root position. That's an E minor. What? E minor? That's a little odd. That's a 6 chord, though. We just count up. G, A, B, C, D, E for 6. Then we're going to look at the last chord in this phrase. D, D, F sharp. Let's bring the F sharp down. A. D, F sharp, A. We can see that that's D major again. And there we have a 5 chord. Okay? 6 to 5, this would actually be called a half cadence. And I can write HC here, half cadence. So we kind of have a perfect authentic, and then we have a half cadence. Really, whenever you see a longer note value, half note compared to a quarter note, that's a sign where you're at the actual phrase. And I like to put a phrase marking of an apostrophe there to let me know. Then from there you can go on and you can continue doing the same thing. We have B, G, D, G, G, B, D. Okay, there's a 1 chord. Notice we don't have the root in the bass again. That's going to be an inversion. Okay, and you can continue on with this. This is where I recommend you start because everything's nice in a vertical row. You don't have to look at accompaniment styles where there's lots of arpeggios and kind of decide what chord maybe they're doing. You get to just look at the notes, see where they are vertically, and make a decision about what they are in the key, what numeral they should be assigned in whatever key you're working in. And like I said, the Open Hymnal has things in simple keys, one key, simpler chords, because it's meant to be sung basically by a church congregation, not a group of professional singers, which means it's great material for beginners, and it's free. It's free, and I'm into free stuff for you guys. So anyway, that's all I have to say about this. This is your intro to analysis. It's a very good skill to start developing, and it's something that you could practice on your own without even having to hear the music. Notice I didn't play this music for you, but if I were, it would just be G, G, D, D, G, E minor, D. You could play that on your guitar if you're a guitar player. You probably already know these chords and hear exactly what the chords of Blessed Jesus at Thy Word are intended to sound like. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you want to see, what you want to hear down below, and I will have more videos on how to analyze and also more videos on how to do your very first composition using some of the theory techniques that I've talked about so far in this video. And I'm going to hopefully be working in the future on some ways that independent students, if you're watching this and you're an independent student, that you can get some feedback from an instructor like myself to help you know whether you understand this or not. Like kind of like taking a course on me. I don't want it to be. I want it to be about gaining skills, not about getting a grade certification necessarily. So anyway, that's all I have to say about that. You guys have a great